Well, good morning and welcome to this moment that we have set aside to celebrate our veterans. It's important for us always to remember that there is a distinction to be made between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. We celebrate the ultimate sacrifice that so many of our fellow countrymen and women have made on behalf of this country at Memorial Day. But at Veterans Day, we celebrate all of those who have worn the uniform, those who have made the sacrifice, oftentimes of their personal safety and certainly of their ease, in order to defend the abstract but wonderfully embodied notion of a free people who have the opportunity to govern themselves under a system of laws and not of men. And so it is that we have gathered here today for that purpose. The United States Armed Forces, established in the summer of 1775, actually predates the formal founding of the Republic. We celebrate those who, down through the ages as well, have worn the uniform because they serve as the great backdrop and the heritage and the depth of historical memory for all of those who currently wear the uniform or who have worn the uniform of this country. Our minds are taken back to distant places, from Valley Forge to Montezuma, from all of the great battlefields of the Civil War, from San Juan to Chateau Thierry, from Pearl Harbor to Pusan to Khe Sanh to Afghanistan and Iraq. We remember those who have worn that uniform because they came before to serve as an example to our veterans who are alive with us today. They walk in their footsteps, and we celebrate their service. So thank you again for being here today as we celebrate our veterans and all that they have done to help keep our country free.
Alrighty, would everyone please stand for the presentation of our colors and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem.
Post. Post. Put that arms.
Cadet Washington asked me earlier today, we're going to have a prayer. And my answer was, no, there's not one in the program. However, we've got a Methodist minister that's going to speak first. If he doesn't offer scripture, I will. So
Be my guest.
this is paraphrasing now. But imagine the Apostle Paul in prison for the second time, and he's writing to Timothy. But he doesn't think this prison term is going to end well. So one of the last things he says is, I have fought the good fight, I've run the race and finished it, and I've kept the faith. Every veteran in this room can say those three things. And then in Matthew, you remember the story of the talents. And the master said to the two of the servants, well done, good and faithful servant. Again, to each veteran, when they get an honorable discharge, they get a piece of paper that's a DD 214. And I can guarantee that every veteran in this room knows where that piece of paper is. There's probably one in a safe deposit box or a lock box. There's another one on file at the courthouse with the county clerk. And then they have one that can be used for other things. But Staff Sergeant Lynn Bennett has one of those. She was a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. She served initially as a crew chief for C-130s in Rhine-Main, Germany. She transferred to the Air Force Reserve, again serving as a crew chief on the C-5s, and then even after that transferred to the Tennessee Air National Guard, again serving as a crew chief on the C-130s in Nashville. So we're pleased, she's retired now, living in Abingdon, and we're pleased to have Staff Sergeant Retired Lynn Bennett with us today.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to come out and speak with you today. I am living in the town of Abingdon now. I actually live outside the city limits, but over off Branch Street, if anybody knows where that is in Abingdon. It's the country houses. So I'm a country girl. I was raised country from the Nashville, Tennessee area when it was not so big. Lived in a little burb of 7,000 people growing up outside of Nashville. So I'm very thankful to be here today. It's such a great campus. I was here a couple of weeks ago with Monica Hoyle, for anyone that knows her out here. And she was taking me through the campus and showing me a couple of things. And of course, I love the statues right in front of the library out back here. So when I looked at it, of course, I looked at it and I thought of Patrick Henry and the famous quote that Patrick Henry has. And it seems appropriate to me to use that quote today on such a special day. And the quote, as everybody knows, this famous quote says, "I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." Now, he said that in 1775, 247 years ago. And here we are today talking about liberty, freedoms. We still are searching for everything that makes us all happy. We know that freedom will give us all the inspiration that we need to stand forth against tyranny, oppressors of this country, and just to walk everyday life liking our fellow mankind. We have a lot in common. So today we honor every man and woman that's proudly worn the uniform and defended our nation while protecting its people from the perils of the world. Every American today reaps benefits from those that have served before them. Today is a special day. In fact, it is a remarkable day. Look around us at the veterans you saw stand up earlier. We appreciate what you have done for us. This is a day of deep significance, of opportunity, of reverence, of remembrance, and of sacrifice. It's the day we designate to recognize and honor the millions of Americans who have answered the call without hesitation when our country asks, all throughout history, Americans. Across our great nation today, Americans are gathering at all kinds of events just like this one to remember the countless sacrifices of the nation's veterans. As victors over tyranny and the would-be oppressors throughout history, Americans have benefited from those sacrifices of our armed forces. We enjoy the American way of life. Veterans Day is a day for every American, every citizen, no matter their race, no matter their religion, no matter their political affiliations. This is the day considering the price of liberty. It is a day of recognition for our living veterans. I think Dr. Walls made that clear earlier. Thank you, sir. We can't go forward on a day like today without recognizing and acknowledging those that are currently serving our country. There is much uncertainty in our world. Today's military must adapt and change at paces unheard of in the past. Technology challenges are greater than ever. We owe much of today's generation of patriots. We owe much to today's generation of patriots and all that have come before them. Yes, today is a day to celebrate the courage, the deeds, and the sacrifices, the dedication, and the commitment to all of our veterans who have served this great nation. As a grateful people, we must continue to express our gratitude by providing necessary assistance when they return from service for those that may need it. They have earned and deserve their veteran benefits. That's what I'm going to say about today. Now, I'd like to change the subject just a little bit and tell you a little bit about what it has meant to me to be a veteran in today's world. I did 12 years with the Air Force in various jobs Colonel alluded to. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those, but I've also gone on to have a successful career outside of the military. And that's what a lot of us do. We enter the military for a short time, we get out, and we have another life. And that's who you're looking at today. That's this person right here. So I'd like to take a few moments to tell you about being a veteran's minute. I never realized when I left the military how much I would really miss it. I can't believe I even said that or even wrote it on a piece of paper now. I couldn't believe how much I missed it. I had continued my education all throughout my tours while I was in the Air Force. I felt education was what was going to get me to the next level of life where I wanted to be, and I knew I needed to keep focus on that. I had always known that I'd eventually get a degree. I also knew that it wouldn't be easy along the way because I was still part of the military as I was going. As soon as I could, I enrolled in my local state university. It had developed a new budding program called Bachelor of Science in Aerospace. As a crew chief on 130s and C5s, I felt like that was a perfect fit for me. I had gotten my associate's degree from the Community College of the Air Force while I was in the Air Force in, let me see what they call it. Military has long names for everything. Aircraft Maintenance Specialist. Okay, so that's what I was. On 130s, I was in Germany, C5s while I was in San Antonio with the reserves, and then back to 130s when I went back to Nashville, and I finally completed my degree. I gained critical experiences in those fields. I was still in the Tennessee Air National Guard, drawing a big whopping $125 a month. I made $7 an hour while I was still trying to take 18 hours at school, working full time. So if you have it and you have that desire, you can do it. It's not an easy road that I chose to go through, though. But I'm just here and standing before you today feeling like a successful human being because I got through it all. So I wanted to say that was 11 years probably after my peers in high school had gotten their degree. So I was a little bit further behind the regular people. Tenacity, that's the word that comes to mind, right? Staying with something, stick-to-itiveness. That's what we're all about. It's a lot like the military, I think, right? Education was very important to me. While on active duty, I lived in Germany and traveled all over Europe. I celebrated at the Moulin Rouge, Paris, France, on New Year's Eve one year. So, I mean, a lot of people can't say things like that. So the military has afforded me the ability to travel abroad. I lived on the economy, as we called it, off base. I earned credit for my foreign language course by just simply taking a German course when I lived in Germany. And to me, the foreign language course is one of the hardest courses to get for a bachelor's. So I was happy to do that. I was already using military benefits from just being a service member. Back then, and this was in the later 80s, there was no such thing as online courses that you could take. You took courses through universities offered by the military, and some of those were places like the Community College of Chicago, University of Maryland. They all had online courses. I quote online specifically because there were videotapes, VHS tapes, and they mailed them to you, and you mailed them. If you got them, they might work, they might not work. If you were lucky, they worked. So you could take a few courses. So I took some core courses that helped me get on through and get that associates with the military while I was in it. When I decided to enlist in the Air Force, however, I was 23 years old. So a few years after college, or after high school, I should say. When I entered the military, my parents thought I was crazy and I had lost my mind. It was 1985. They couldn't understand why after Vietnam anybody would want to go into the military, the way that the people were treated when they came back. And they were very concerned for me. They didn't want their daughter wearing combat boots, they said. And so, it was a challenge for me to convince my parents that I thought I was doing the right thing, even though I was already 23 and could have done it without their permission. Very religious family, though. They really did not think that I should be there. I went anyway. I enlisted. When I got out of the military, they thought it had been the best thing after all for me. They thought it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. My dad told me that when I returned home, I was a mature, independent thinking, making my own way kind of person, not needing the support in childish ways that I used to, like, can I have some money for this or something like that? I didn't need that anymore. And he said that I was totally admired by others. Of course, that made me cry like Daddy's little girl, and that's okay, because my dad is 82 and still alive, and we still have conversations along this line. He's very proud of me to this very day, and I've been out since 1997. So I wanted to share those things with you and tell you a couple of other things before I part today. I feel like today I'm part of something very, very special. I am a veteran. I know veterans out here have to feel the same way. We are part of a special breed of people. When Old Glory waves, my heart feels like it's going to burst out of my chest sometimes. I stand taller, I stand prouder. I put my hand over my heart. I saw lots of us do that today. I still get goosebumps at a great rendition when it's belted out of Star Spangled Banner. I love the voice. I love to hear a great rendition. I can't hide my tears when I see the honor guard at funerals. I'm part of a fellowship that feels the same way I do. We are veterans. So I want to leave you today with a poem from a 5th grader named Justin from Meek Elementary School in Alabama. It's called Thank You, Veterans. Thank you for the job well done. Thank you for the battles won. Thank you for the battles fought. Thank you for the freedom bought. Thank you for the time you served. Thank you for the freedoms earned. Thank your families for sharing you. I know they missed you. They really did. I'm sorry for the lives that were lost while you were there. Freedom isn't cheap. It comes at a very high cost. I love my freedom, my red, white, and blue. Thank you, veterans, for all that you do. I think that's pretty remarkable coming from a 5th grader. Of course, everybody says he had to have had help, but you know what? He put it on paper and put his name to it. I believe him. That's remarkable for us moving into our next generations of people to hear things like that. Makes me very proud. So I just want to say thank you for having me today. Happy Veterans Day to all American veterans, and a huge heartfelt thank you to all of you for all you do. Thank you, and I'm going to turn it back over to Cadet Peery to complete our program. Thank you.
All righty, I would like to ask everyone to please rise for the retiring of the colors.
Group, close. Right, face. Host. Entire colors. Left, face. Forward, march. Left. 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 Right.
Again, I want to say thank you for everyone that came out today in support of our veterans and active duty service members. And I want to say to all the veterans here today, I want to thank you again on behalf of the E&H ROTC program for your sacrifices and selfless service. I know it's been hard, but we also say thank you for being great role models for those soon to follow. We do appreciate it. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.